Hey guys, welcome back to Cocktails, the channel where I give you the sight or the insight behind the badge, answering all your questions that you would like to know about what really goes on inside of the police department, the things that the public, the citizens don't get a chance to see or hear about. And I have a story for you guys today, and I'm sure, actually I know for a fact that this one's going to anger you. It's going to piss you off. It will piss anyone off. But I'm going to let you know, I'm going to tell a story, and you guys tell me down in the comment section or write me at cocktails@gmail.com. Tell me what you think about it. So I get the question a lot. Hey, Abiyah, have you ever worked with those bad cops? If you're such a good cop, which I'm not a cop anymore, but if you were a good cop, did you ever turn in the bad cops? You know what? And the answer is yes. Honestly, part of the reason now that I can sit here and talk to you about these things, or the reason I am sitting here talking to you about these things, is because I did point out some things that were not right within the police department. And like always, you get labeled the hot-headed guy, the guy who doesn't want to follow directions, the guy who, and it's none of that. But what it is simply, hey, I signed up for a reason. And the reason that I signed up was none of this. So let's get right to it. There's always something going on behind closed doors that the public just doesn't get a chance to see. For example, we had one of our officers who was a K9 officer literally try and attack the lieutenant on duty. And it took about 5 or 6 different officers to hold these two back from each other. And you would think, wow, how is it that inside of the department, these guys can go blow for blow or almost go blow for blow, have to be restrained and held back, but yet a few minutes later go out, get in their vehicles, and then go police the neighborhood, and if they find someone else in that same situation, will possibly arrest them for disorderly conduct. Or you have a situation, and this one really just breaks my heart every time I talk about it. You have an officer who's speeding down the road. He's not on a call. He's actually violating the police department policy. But in this violation, he causes a car accident, which takes the life of a young girl. So some things are swept under the rug and some things are not. So in this car chase situation, remember, if you guys watched the other videos on the cocktails, I stated that the department I work for, it had to be a certain reason why you were conducting a 1080 or a police car chase. You're chasing another vehicle. It has to be something serious. Misdemeanors, things of that nature, you do not chase for, because you put the community in more danger by chasing the vehicle for a lesser crime. Well, in that particular situation, the cop stated that, hey, I'm just trying to catch up to a vehicle. And that is a cop's way of really pursuing a vehicle, telling dispatch, I'm only trying to catch up, while he has no lights, no sirens, and he's speeding through the street. So the driver looks back, he sees this cop coming, he speeds up, he tries to get away. A car accident comes from that. The passenger, young girl, dies. So what's the point? Well, you might say, well, that's the driver's fault. Well, in reality, it is. But since the cop was acting outside of policy, he was never supposed to be chasing the driver in the first place, not for a lesser crime. And after causing this terrible accident, he's suspended with 2 days suspension. Not only 2 days suspension, he's allowed to pick which 2 days he wants to take so it doesn't greatly affect his paycheck. Now, at the time, my wife, she worked inside the dispatch center. And while on suspension, this cop goes down to dispatch and he's talking about the situation where his actions cost someone their life. But while there, he's bragging about the fact that he only received a 2-day suspension. So it's situations like these that, a lot of people in the public, the community, they don't know about. Even if you do hear about it, you don't know the details behind it. And so when you're on the inside and you're looking at things like this and you hear these type of things, it really, if you have a heart and if you care, it really drives you up a wall. And I was one of those officers, and I'm not going to say that I was the only one. I was one of the few, because there were a couple people who didn't sit well with. I was one of the few of those officers who really made a fuss about this. And upon my exit, leaving the department, side note, The reason you guys have not heard me say, well, what department did you work for? I work for this particular department or that particular department, is because I've been advised to keep it under wraps, because right now there's a big legal thing going on right now. So we're just trying to keep that portion under wraps per attorneys. So, but back to the situation, when I was leaving this particular department, the reason such a fuss was made is because I shined a lot of light on that and it wasn't appreciated. In another situation that I shined light on, you're a cop and you and your cop friends, you want to hang out. So you go find a local bar. And while at the bar, you guys are hanging out, throwing them back, having a good time. But you have a little bit or a lot of it, too much to drink. And while drinking, you get into a big altercation at the bar. And now there's a big bar fight. But it's not the citizens, the community. Well, it is, but it's also the local police department. You have cops that are in a bar fight with citizens. And that's not the worst part. Here's the worst part. While in that bar fight, one of the cops turns and he punches this little lady right in the face. He gives her a mean right hook right to her face. He knocks her out cold. What do you think happened to the cop? Do you think he was, let's say, arrested, fired, maybe suspended? Suspended is the answer. But for how long? 2 days. 2-day suspension. And guess what? Got to pick which one of the, when he took those 2 days so it would not greatly affect his paycheck. And the justification behind this was this. The justification was, well, she decided not to press charges. Not a justification to me. Because if we're held to a higher standard, whether that particular citizen wanted to press charges or not, there should have been more consequences for the officer in that particular situation. But like you guys already know, there never is any real consequences in situations like these. The consequences come to those who really try to work in this career field, believing that you're here to do some type of good. And then you find out really quickly the good that you thought you were here to do, it really doesn't exist. So I see more and more where we're starting to get these little channels popping up on YouTube calling auditors frauditors. And these guys, they support the police. And okay, if you want to support the police, that's fine. I'm not saying don't, because I personally do not believe that every police officer is a bad police officer. I know that's the common belief amongst the community, but I don't share that belief. But what I do know is this: as a whole, the auditing community serves a very, very, very big purpose in what they are doing. Because policing, there's a lot of things happening that a lot of people are not privy to. And by auditors coming out and holding police accountable for their actions, things like this will start to happen less and less. Hopefully things like this, like the passenger, the young girl losing her life, things like that will stop happening. So for you guys who are riding the backs of auditors for simply trying to hold cops accountable, stop, take a look at the other side of things, and then maybe you might see it a little different. But with that being said, that's the end of this version of Cop Tales. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button so you can be the first to watch the new video. I have tons of stories that I'm going to be bringing out. Make sure you don't miss it. That being said, we are out.